Hello there. Do you want to earn in dollars? Are you tired of the lingering bad economic situation of the country? Are you one of those that the Japa syndrome has rubbed off? If yes is your answer, then you are at the right place. Welcome to the Nigerian Exporters Hub webinar, a session where you get to be trained on what to export, how to export, where to export, and then the market access will be created for you. So therefore, basically, export is the fundamental component of international trade, where goods and services are moved from one country to another. Now, we have series or different types of exports. I'll be taking us through a few basic types of exports. What are the types of exports that are identified and what we can relate with? We have the direct exports to start with. What is direct export? A direct export plays as a kind of export where the manufacturer, that is the owner of the goods or services, directly sells to the receiving country, the export destination. Are you Mr. Okonkwo? Do you produce, say, locust beans for export? Yes. Do you directly ship your locust beans from Nigeria to the export destination? Yes. That can be defined as direct exports. Now, let's move to the second type of export, which is the indirect export. Here, they said the company or individuals uses intermediaries such as export agents, export consultants, trading companies to export their goods or their services. I'll give a critical example with the Nigerian Exporters Hub. We can be like export agents to standing in between a manufacturer and the receiver in the receiving country. Now, you can come through NextHub, for example, with your goods or your services that you want to export to China, for example, and then we serve as an intermediary to facilitate your exports. We can now regard or categorize this kind of exports as an indirect export. The other type of export we are looking at or we'll be looking at is the merchant export. Now, the exporter buys off the goods or the services from the manufacturers and then takes it to the receiving country. He takes it abroad for the purpose of export. In this case, the manufacturer does not directly sell off his goods. You have the merchant who comes to you to buy. Now, let's say Madam Titi has cassia tora for export, for example, and now I, Jennifer, is an export merchant. I come to Titi, I buy off her commodity, settle her locally, and then I send the goods to China, for example, for the purpose of export. Now, this can be called, or this is called merchant export. The manufacturer is on this other hand. I, as the merchant, step in, purchase the goods from the manufacturer, and then I take it to the end user who happens to be at the receiving destination. Export is conducted. Now, the fourth and then the last kind of type of exports we are going to be looking at is the export of service, where it involves the export of intangible goods such as IT, consulting, tourism, culinary, education. You export services from your country to the receiving country, which is the export destination. Now, these are the kind of services or the types of exports that you can possibly do. We talked about the direct exports, which has to do with the manufacturer sending out his manufactured goods. You could be a farmer and you have farm products like cassava and you want to directly export your cassava.
Now that is called a direct export. Or you have a bead maker that have sat down, you have produced all kinds of beads, and now you want to directly export them to a foreign country. Now that is a type of export. We also talked about the indirect export, where you liaise with export consultants, you liaise with trading companies. I gave example with the Nigerian Exporters Hub, which is Next Hub. We have exporters who come under us, brings their commodities, brings their goods, bring their services, and now we help them, we facilitate the export for them from Nigeria to China, to the Europe, to the US, or any other country that is deemed the receiving country. I also did discuss the merchant export, which is the kind of export where the buyer, the merchant, goes to the manufacturer, purchase the goods from the manufacturer or gets the services from the manufacturer, and then exports to the destination country. In this kind of export, the manufacturer already sells off the goods to the manufacturer in naira and then exports to the foreign destination and then earns back in dollars. Then the last one we talked about is the export of services, where intangible products or services are being exported from one country to another. Services like education, IT services, consulting services, you have services like arts, music, talent, and a host of others. So all of these are the different kinds or types of exports that we can possibly venture into. Having said that, now this brings us to the next topic of discussion, which is what to export. What can be exported? The kinds of commodities that can be exported. I know that this will interest a whole lot of us because the way export has been tailored, it's tailored around the big merchants who are called importer exporters, you know, having big monies, having huge capitals to venture into exports, people who fly in and out of countries in between time, you know, sometimes twice in a month, sometimes monthly, on a regular basis, basically, to do export. So all I'm trying to say is that let's not be scared. We can always start from somewhere, little by little, and then we grow the process and grow ourselves into these big export merchants, if there's something like that. So what are these exportable commodities? Any product or services that meet international demand and compliance with legal regulations can be exported. Okay, so let's quickly look at things that can be exported. What are these things? What's to be exported? We can export specialty and niche products. We can export digital products. We can export goods. We can export services, right? So let's look at the kind of goods that can be exported. Under goods, number one, we have agricultural and food products. We can export commodities like soya beans. We can export commodities like ginger, sesame seeds, gum arabic, raw cashew nuts, fruits, dairy products, chili pepper, byproducts, cassava chips. The list is endless. There are so many things that we produce or we farm from Nigeria that we can take out to the international market space. Now, we have industrial goods also under goods that can be exported. Examples are machinery tools, construction equipment. You know, we have a lot of people who are talents all over the country. You see young stars going into trying to build aeroplanes and what have you. So machinery tools, equipment, electrical appliances, and industrial chemicals. We have seen our young talents in Nigeria who have engaged or indulged in giving a shot in trying to come up with some of these machinery tools, and we can see that they are really workable if only we have the backing of the government, the support of the government, All of these things can be exported. Still under goods that can be exported from Nigeria to other countries, we have consumer goods. What are these consumer goods? We have clothing, we have electrical appliances, we have furniture, we have footwear and home appliances. Yes, there are things that are now made in Nigeria that we can export. Clothes, we have our textile industry, we have the likes of the adire that we can move from Nigeria to other countries. And the good news is that when we take these things out, they love them. When the Chinese people, for example, when they come into Nigeria, you see them, they are happy to wear our designs. They are always eager to see, oh, what is this made of? It looks really nice. I like the texture. It is suiting on the skin. So all of these feedbacks. So these things are things that we can encourage ourselves to begin to produce them in mass, and then we ship them to countries where we have identified that they have needs for them. Now, lastly, on this batch are raw materials and natural resources. Nigeria as a country is blessed with raw materials and natural resources. We have the minerals, we have the metals, we have crude oil, we have timber, we have coal, we have gemstones. So for solid minerals, you can find them in states like Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, and a host of other states that you go to mine all of these things, and they are exportable. That's the good news. They are exportable, and you myself and you can engage in these exports of services like this. So moving on to look at other exportable commodities, I talked about us being able to do goods. We can also do services. What are the services that we can export? We can export services like the information technology service, that is the IT. For example, software development, cloud computing, cybersecurity solutions. You see, we have people in the country who are blessed. We have young Nigerians who are talented, who are passionate about IT. They have these solutions they can provide, and we can export them. That is the good news. We also have financial business services that we can export. What are the example of these financial businesses that we can export? Talking about consulting, running consultancy for people abroad, legal services, accounting and financial systems. We have all of these, and we can package them and export them to receiving countries from Nigeria. Yes, we can also do tourism and hospitality. We talk about travel packages, hotel accommodations, and cultural experiences. Good news, the Nigerian Exporters Hub is looking at exporting services within this year. So hopefully we are going to start talent hunting for talent in soccer, in music, in poetry, in drama. Who are the upcoming Davidos and the Wizkids and the Burna Boys that we have? Who are these people to replace them when they come of age? So we are going to start exporting all of these talents. Let's showcase our rich cultural heritage to the international market space. Yeah, and then we have education and trainings. Example are online courses, foreign students programs, and certification services. Now, we have Nigerians in diaspora who would want to be communicating to people with certain languages. For example, we have people in Nigeria who are beginning to learn Mandarin. That is, they are exporting their service. They are coming to this country. They are being taught of how to speak Mandarin. They are interpreting it. So why can't we do the same? So these are services that we can export. Creative and cultural services fall under one of the services that we can also export. We talk about, I just said it, music, film, literature, and digital content creation. You can see a lot of talent. I don't want to say they are wasting on social media, because thankfully the social media space have been monetized, and so many Nigerians have embraced that in a positive light. We've seen people come up with content, podcasts, and they are doing so well. So these are services that we can equally package them and export them to the global market space. Initially, I talked about digital products. What are some of these digital products that can be exported? We are talking about ebooks, software license, digital media apps, and online subscriptions. We have systems abroad that we usually would contact whenever we have IT related solutions. We are looking at softwares for our official use. We do contact them. Why can't we be the ones to export our own IT solutions to them too? So these are kind of some of the services that we can equally package as a country, and then we export them. The good news is that we have talent that can even beat what we have internationally. Okay. So the next and the last one is for goods. Under goods, what kind of goods can we export from Nigeria to other receiving countries? We are looking at specialty and niche products. Example, we have handicraft, regional textiles, artisanal goods, and organic products. There are so many people who have come up with products around this area, and they've been exporting them. So if you are one special talent and you can manufacture all of these things, the good news is that there's a space for you to showcase your products on the international market scene. So, having said this, we are going to move quickly to the next topic of discussion, which is the countries that we can export some of these services to. I've been talking about China. Yes, it is because the Nigerian Exporters Hub has its footing in the Asian countries. We deal with the China and Far East region. So we have our grip over there, hence why you hear me mention China. But that is not the only export destination we can actually export to. We have the Europe. When we talk about the Europe, you talk about countries like Germany, you talk about United Kingdom, you talk about France. We have the Asian countries, I just said it, China, India, Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, and the likes of them. We talk about North America. North America covers countries like US, Canada, Mexico, Italy, Spain, and the likes of them. We talk about we talk about Africa. Africa covers countries like South Africa. We talk about Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, Kenya, Ghana. The list is endless until we get to the very last African country. We talk about Middle East. We are talking about the United Arab Emirates, which is popularly known as Dubai. We talk about Saudi Arabia. Talk about Turkey. So all of these countries are countries where we can export to. You call them export destination countries. So you have goods, you look at the specific needs and tailor your energy to goods that are requested or required in any of these countries, and then you see that you thrive in your export business. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to our next topic of discourse, which is benefits of exports. Why do we engage in exports? I'll tell you a whole lot. There are a whole lot of reasons why you and I should engage in exports, or should be. And very quickly, I'll run through them. Increase profit and sales volume. Number 3, enhance domestic competitiveness. Of course, if you engage in exports, you are enhancing your domestic competitiveness on the international market scene. You have access to global markets. Yes, of course. By exporting our commodities from Nigeria, they have gained access to global markets. Also, reduce dependency on existing markets. By exporting, you are reducing dependency on or dependence on existing markets. You're spreading your tentacles. Today you're in Europe, tomorrow you're in Africa, next tomorrow you're in the Middle East, or you're in Asian countries. So you're spreading your tentacles and increasing your volume in terms of even the commodities and, of course, the revenue to be generated. The next one is contribute to the nation's GDP. Yes, one of the critical and salient reasons why we engage in export is to bridge the huge trade deficit that exists between Nigeria and other trading companies or exporting countries. There's a huge trade deficit between us, and so by engaging in export, we tend to bridge or increase or contribute to the nation's GDP, basically and generally, and then we gain global market share. So aside building yourself as an individual, as an exporter, you are increasing a whole lot. You're giving back to the country and will have a better system to cohabit. So to conclude, dear friends, exporting products or services can be a lucrative venture for businesses. It offers opportunities for growth, diversification, and increased revenue. While talking about introduction to basic exports, we have dealt with what to export, which are the commodities, the services to be exported. We have talked about how to do the export. We have talked about where to export to, which are the destination countries. And then we have talked about the benefits of export. So I believe that we have taken some notes and we are going to capitalize on it, build on it, and leverage on it to be able to empower ourselves moving on. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next class.